We're gonna be making grandma pizza. We're gonna be making a Detroit. We're gonna be making a Sicilian. What's really nice about this dough is what a lot of people don't realize is you can make so many different styles and use this as your master dough. You can make garlic knots, strombolis, 6, 7 different types of pizza. It all depends on how you prepare it, how you let it proof, and how you cook it. And I'm gonna show you how to do that today. But first, what we need to do is we need to make our sauce. So one of my favorite sauces I like is the Alta Cucinas by Stanislaus. Well, it's a plum tomato. We're gonna need to crush it up a little bit. What I like to do is put it in a bowl and crush it up with my hands. Reason for that is you don't want to aerate it and create that high speed tension of a blender or an emulsifier and throw air into it and get it too smooth. You want some type of chunk left to it. Here's the whole tomato. And what we do is just gently break it up. This sauce works really well with the grandma. I use this for pretty much 90% of our pizzas. And some simple ingredients. We are going to take some fresh basil. Now I like putting basil in the sauce. I also like putting basil as a finisher and on top of our pizza as well. Typically on a full can, I'll do about 10 leaves, decent sized leaves per can. If they're smaller, then I double them up. Now we're going to add some black pepper, salt, and I like using lots of oregano. Some people love oregano, some people hate oregano. In New York, especially where I'm from, in Brooklyn, they use a lot of oregano in their sauce. Brings out a lot of flavor. I don't put a lot of it on top of it as finishing, but I keep it in the sauce. So what we'll do is we'll put this to the side. We're going to mix it up. And then I'm going to show you guys how we're going to press our grandma, our Detroits, and our Sicilians. Now it all depends, thank you, on how much dough you want to use per style, right? Some people like to use 18 ounce, 20 ounce, 22 ounce, 26 ounce. It's your pizza. It's how you want to make it. It's what your customers want. There's no right or wrong. But I'll tell you that when somebody's getting a grandma, they're expecting to have a thin crust, crispy pizza. If somebody's getting a Sicilian, they're expected to get a thicker crust, pan pizza. So you got to stick to the styles that you're making, but there's no law or rule on the amount of ounces you need per pan that you're going to use for either grandma, Sicilian, or your Detroits. Trick of the trade, the old school way to do your pan pizza using extra virgin olive oil, putting it down, flatten it out, let it sit. More olive oil on top, flipping it, letting it sit. The problem with that is every time you're adding the oil, it'll shrink. It won't go to the edges. You're constantly fighting it to let it sit. What I've learned through my years of working in pizza, networking, going to trade shows, traveling around the world, and just seeing how everybody does it is using a lard or a Crisco or something along these lines to coat the base of your trays. So that's what we're going to do now. We are going to take some of the Crisco and we're going to line it on each pan. Now don't be afraid to use it. You want to make sure you go to corner, edge to edge, and put a nice even coating on. Now I'm going to show you why it's so important to do this, because you'll see how easy it is to stretch your pizza in these pans. Now, when you make pan pizza, you have to let it proof in the pan. Okay? A lot of people will stretch it, they'll put it in, they'll try to use it right away. But the magic happens is when you're proofing it and you let it sit and you let it rise. That's where you're going to get the look that you're looking for when it comes down to your Detroits, your grandmas, your Sicilians. And you're fermenting the dough still, right? You're letting it rise. We do our Sicilian. Like I said, don't be afraid to use it, because this is a two-step process. We're going to be stretching them, we're going to be baking them, par baking them, and then we're going to let them cool on a cooling rack, and then we're going to put them back into the pan with olive oil, and then we pan fry all of our pan pizzas. I'm going to take this face side down, right into the middle, and we're going to press it forward from the middle out. And you'll see how it sticks. If we used olive oil, it would have shrunk right back and you'd be fighting it. So half the dough, push it out evenly. The flat part of your fingers, not your fingertips. You want the flat side from your palm to your fingertip. And like the wave, bring it nice and flush along the dough, working to the edges. Okay. Bringing it across, bringing it down. So now we have a half sheet. You turn it, same concept, flat and forward. So we're going to bring this down. Now we don't necessarily need to dock it. We're just going to let it rise and frame it up a little bit. And this is your traditional New York style grandma. You see how it sticks to the pan? It doesn't come out. It's flush. The Crisco is helping it stick and set in place. Now we're going to take this. We could put a little olive oil on top if you like. Not necessary. But you can just take a little bit. Okay. I'm going to put this one to the side. I'm going to let it rise. Same steps go with the Detroit and through Sicilian. So we're going to wait on the Sicilian because it's going to need a larger dough. We'll use the dough bowl that we have right now, which I believe is 26 ounces. Okay. But you're not pressing it as much because as you can see, it's a smaller but deeper pan. Sicilian, Detroit's is known for what's called a frico, the crust around the outside, which is created by melted cheese, caramelized cheese. So when you're putting the crust through, you put in a lot of cheese between the inside of the dough and the wall of the tray. You'll file it in, so during the baking, you do the pan fry, you'll get that frico crust. But when we stretch it, we're stretching it the same way. More dough, which means it's going to be a thicker crust, right? But that's the purpose of the Detroits. It's not a thin crust pizza. Same thing, edge to edge, side to side, keeping everything from the middle out. You don't want to have any thin spots. You want everything to be nice and flush and even, because when it rises, you want that to be all flush as well, so you don't have a cockeyed dough, fermentation pizza where it's higher on one side and lower on the other. You want it nicely flush all the way around. So again, we're going to take this, we're going to bring this to the side, and we're going to let this ferment and proof. If you have covers for it, it's a good idea to put a cover on it. If you have anything so it doesn't dry out, you can put olive oil, which helps to prevent it from drying out, but you do want to cover it and let it sit for at least an hour or so. Next is our Sicilian. So a lot of times people have to have different size ounces for Sicilian. It's a thicker pie. The way we do it in our shop is we use a 20-ounce dough for all of this, but we put two pizza doughs together to make 40 ounces. Our Sicilians are 40 ounces. So you guys can do the same. Best way to do that is put the dough in the middle, flip it bottom to bottom, dough on top, and you're going to press it together and do it the same way that we saw here. Bring the dough out. Edge to edge, corner to corner. You can see there's a tremendous amount more dough, but again, this is a Sicilian. It's meant for a higher rise crust, pan pizza, thicker crust, New York style. So now that two of those doughs became one. Nice even surface. And then we're going to go around and frame it out. Make sure we're everywhere on the edges, on the sides. Perfect. Dimple it a little bit. And now you have your Sicilian. Again, if you want to put a little olive oil, you can. A little. You don't need a lot. You just want to do enough where it's drizzling around. Sicilians obviously is more dough, so you need a little bit more coverage, but just enough where you're covering the top of the dough, not going under. Because again, you don't want it to shrink. You want it to stay where it's at. Perfect. And we're going to take that, and then this is going to ferment. Whether you're at your home, whether you're in a commercial kitchen, or if you have access to a proofer. Here we used our proofing stack here, so we were able to speed up the process a little bit. But just throw the dough in a warm area so it can proof. Once it proofs, this is the end result that you're going to want. Now, like I said earlier, there's going to be a two-step process. You have to stretch it, you have to par bake it, and then we're going to bring it out and cool it, and we're going to pan fry all of these pizzas. So our grandma, our Sicilian, our Detroit is all pan fried style pizza that we do when we cook it. So if you take a look at this guy, remember, this is our 40-ounce dough bowl that we use for our Sicilian. It rose all the way up to the edge here, which is great. And this is what we want to see. What we'll do here is, you don't want to disrupt the structure of everything, but you want to make sure that the grandma, at least, is still flat a little bit. And we want to get any air. You see the air bubbles here? We want to get that out. We don't want that air to be underneath the dough. So what do? Actually, we do it here. Lift up the corner a little bit and let it out. Turn it. Take the air bubbles out nice and gently. You don't want to be hard. And all you got to do is pull. There it goes. See that? Pull air here. Pull it up and out. Now, two reasons why you don't want air underneath. One, you don't want to create a bubble. Two, you want an even cooking surface on the bottom of your pan when you par bake it, because you don't want to have any craters. You'll have craters where a bubble will form on top. You'll have a big hole underneath, and it won't give an even distribution of baking underneath the pan. So we want to make sure our crusts are nice and perfect. Our grandma is done. Detroit, don't touch it. This is exactly how you want a Detroit. We are going to show you how to make a beautiful Detroit with this DeIorio dough in about 10 minutes. I'm going to show you. I'm going to par bake and we'll put that together. Here, our Sicilian. Again, this is the structure we want. But look, it rose so much we lost the crust. We didn't lose it because we wanted it all to rise together. So now we got to form it. How do we form it? On the edge here. Finger width. It's as thick as you want to go with the crust. Again, this is my style. I don't like a heavy crust on our Sicilians, but everybody's different. But you want to go even all the way around, okay? And then we're going to dimple it a little bit. A little air here, see that? See the air? Let's just lift up, put some of the air out, that's it, done. Perfect. Our Sicilian. We have our Sicilian, we have our Detroit, and we have our grandma. We're going to throw them in the oven. You want to be around 4 minutes, depending on the temperature that you're working on, the type of oven that you have. But the goal is to get a little bit of golden brown, a little bit of color, enough you could take it out of the pan, let it cool, so we can pan bake it, pan fry it after our par bake. Let's throw our grandma in. And we're going to throw our Detroit in. So we're going to take these out. We're going to pop it up, slide it off right onto a cooling rack. I'm going to pop this guy up right onto a cooling rack. I'm going to put these to the side because we are going to use them in a minute. Let them cool off a little bit. The bottom, perfect. Look at the bottom here on our Detroit. Perfect. We'll let that cool. For the Sicilian, we're going to throw the Sicilian in a different oven. We're going to put this in, same amount of time, about 4 to 5 minutes. All right, so after we have our shells that are par cooked, you're going to throw your olive oil down. You want a good quality olive oil, okay, on the base of each pan. And you're going to brush this throughout the entire pan here. Now, the purpose of this is to pan fry. We pan fry all of our pizzas. That's how you get that really nice crunch on the bottom, because it's actually frying between the pan itself and your dough on the bottom of the oven, okay? So we're going to start out with our Detroit first. This has become one of my favorite pizzas to make and to eat. So again, we have our par bake. We're going to throw that in. And you'll notice, if you see on top of it, you'll notice that there's a gap along the whole side of the pizza. So you have a space here, 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 and here. That's when you know the par bake was done successfully. But also, it's crucial to do that because that's where the cheese is going to create your frico crust. So we do a blend of mozzarella cheese and cheddar. So what we're going to have here is we're going to take our shredded mozzarella cheese. Okay. We'll layer it down. We put about 3 cups on here of the mozzarella. Okay. And you're going to spread it out. Now we're going to take cheddar. You want to get some block cheese, shred it up. We're using white cheddar. And you're going to do shred it. We mix it all together right on top of the pizza. Now you can smell it. It smells great. And now you can evenly push it along the side so it falls in between those cracks. That's how you're going to create your frico crust. Sometimes you can even push them down a little bit so you make sure they get in there. Now you could put different toppings on here. I think we're going to put a protein on this because we've been making a lot of cheese. So what we're going to do is we have some meatballs here. We're going to put some meatballs around and make this into a meat lovers. We also have our pepperoni. Throw some pepperoni on here. Everybody likes pepperoni. And how about a vegetable of some sort? Because we have to get our veggies in. And I think it's a nice combination when you add some type of vegetable with a meat pie like this. How about some peppers? Everyone likes peppers. We have some really nice roasted peppers here. Some green and red peppers. We'll throw some orange peppers in. I really like that red and that green together combo. Now we're going to take this. We're going to throw it into the oven. It's going to caramelize the outside, the cheese. And when we take it out, we'll let it sit for a couple minutes. Scrape along the outside so we don't disturb that frico crust. And then we're going to finish it off with our marinara sauce. Grab it from the bottom. Lift it up. Slide it off. Let it cool. While we let this cool, we're going to work on our grandma. So, Grandma Pizza originated in Long Island, New York. It's my personal favorite. It is a very thin and crispy crunch dough with a layer of fresh or shredded mozzarella with marinara played on side with garlic and oil and basil and Parmesan cheese. This is our par bake. Again, like you saw earlier, we have the bottom layer of oil so we can pan fry it. We're going to put our layer of mozzarella cheese. This is almost like an upside down pie with the cheese being on the bottom and the sauce on top. You want to make sure you bring the cheese all the way to the edge. Now what I like to do stripes across the sides. But I think today we're going to put some blobs of sauce throughout the pie. Okay. Parmesan cheese. We're going to touch it up with a little bit of oregano and a little bit of parsley. And this is going to go in the oven to finish off and pan fry. Let's take a look at our Detroit and see how we're working. Oh yeah, you can see it started melting really nicely. It's melting the sides. We'll give it a nice turn. Set it and forget it. Let it sit. Ooh, it's hot. Our cooling rack. And we'll let that sit. The bottom's nice and crispy. And you want it to let it sit on the cooling rack for a little bit. The real reason is so you don't create that moisture of all that steam. When you put a pizza right onto a flush surface like this, you're going to create that steam underneath the crust. And if you can hear it, that's all crunchy. As soon as you put it onto a table or onto a pan, it's just going to soften up. And all that work you did is going to go right into the trash. You're not going to pan fry it anymore because now the whole crust is all soft. And that defeats the whole purpose of it. So we leave it on there for a minute. We'll take it from here. Bring it to our tray. We want to cut it before we dress it. So we're going to go, you can hear how crunchy it is. Okay, I'm going to take our basil. I'm going to throw our basil on. Hit it with a little bit more pecorino romano. I like to dress it up with a little bit more olive oil. Have your grandma slice. Let's go check on that Detroit, because I bet you that's ready. Let's check it out. Beautiful. This is exactly what we're looking for. Now we want to let this sit for a couple minutes for two reasons. One, super hot. And we want to create that frico to start cooling off a little bit so it keeps its structure. If you take it right out of the pan, it's so hot the cheese is just going to flop on the outside and it's going to be a melted mess. So we leave it for about a minute. And it is hot, so you want to get some type of towel or glove. And you want to scrape the outside between the pan and the dough, so you're breaking the cheese off the side of the pan. Once you pull it off, you should feel like it loosens up, which this does. And this is the fun part for every Detroit pizza maker. I'm going to pull this out, slide it, and there's your Detroit. You see the caramelization along the outside? It's all crispy. You have it melted on top. We did roasted red peppers, green peppers, orange peppers, meatball, and pepperoni. So we'll let this sit for a second. Now you can cut it different ways. We cut it the same as a grandma. So as you can see, before I dress it up, you have the frico around the outside, all the caramelized cheese. Notice how it stayed in form. We're going to go one down the middle. Super crunchy. It's not finished yet. Typically with Detroit style, usually sauces you finish last. So we're going to grab our sauce and we're going to put our sauce over the top on each slice. Pecorino Romano, of course. And I'm going to do something different with this one. I want a little bit of heat. So I'm going to add a little bit of crushed red pepper. Right there, you have your Detroit style pizza with the same dough as our grandma, our Sicilian, our garlic knots, and our New York, which we'll be making for you shortly. All right, we have our Sicilian pan back. Again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to coat it with oil. Don't be afraid to use it because, again, we want to pan fry our crust. That's the secret to having some really crispy bottoms, especially pan pizza. We're going to take our crust, throw it back in. And we're going to make a traditional Sicilian pizza. We have our beautiful pizza sauce here. I'm going to pan this out. Now, there's two ways of doing this. Sometimes you can use your hands, throw on a glove, and spread it out nicely. Or you could just use a ladle like the way that I'm doing it now. I'm going to finish this off a little bit. Pecorino Romano. And our mozzarella cheese. I like a cheesy Sicilian. Okay. Little black olives. We'll do half in case not everybody likes olives. A little bit of more protein. I'm going to take this and let's throw a little pancetta up here. All right. We'll leave this side cheese, this side some toppings. I'm going to throw this back into the oven and let it finish and cook. All right. Pull our Sicilian out. Same thing like the Detroit. We'll get right under it just so we can get over the lip. We'll slide it off. And you can hear and see the oil frying in the corners. That's how we get the pan fry on all of our pan pizza. Again, on a cooling rack, we want to make sure that steam doesn't get trapped and doesn't cause the crust to become soggy. But you'll be able to see it here. If I lift this up, you can see and hear all nice and crunchy and crispy, ready to eat. Let's see if we can hear it. That's what we want. So we'll do a little parsley and oregano. Oregano is a really nice way to finish off these pizzas, especially the Sicilian. With the same DeIorio dough, we have our New York Sicilian, we have our Detroit, and we have our grandma. All made differently, prepared differently, taste amazing, but with the same master dough. That's how universal this dough is. You can do so much with it. And this is only 3 of the 7 styles that we make at our shop in Charleston. Ready to eat.